When we know the feelings of the Father, the wicked have no choice but to follow our lead. Why? Because it's the righteous who establish our truth. Because the righteous know the feelings of the Father. So what are the Decadarchi and the ones who follow them left to do? Verse 156.
And they must start with the truth and then distort, corrupt, and otherwise react in all of their despicable ways to that wonderful, lovely truth. Therefore, they cannot originate or create or invent anything, but they must start with the truth and then rebel, thus condemning themselves, and they all feel and do to be short-lived and temporary, and of no part of the absolute eternity of Elder.
Elder is where the Most High dwells, right? The Most High is there, right? The wicked cannot establish anything. They can't make nothing, man. The devil can't create anything. They have to start with the truth established by the righteous and distort it. So the words of the wicked have an expiration date. Right? The Decadarchi rust and mildew like their words, right? They are corruptible and weave a web of lies to deceive the righteous. How can we lead the way in righteousness if we are living in an alternate reality? What do I mean? Christ is cutting on the lights, y'all, because the truth will set us free, right? Verse 158.
And because of this, it is the truth that will protect the righteous, so that evil will not be able to overcome the communities of the righteous.
Y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that, family? It's truth that will set us free. Read.
And because there will be different levels of intensity in the opposition that will be sent upon the righteous from the wicked, there are 4 levels of urgency that will protect the people of Enoki said during the tribulation times.
Did y'all hear that? The Lord has put protection for us against spiritual opposition. And Mozart knows there will be levels to this intensity of the opposition we gonna face. So he created levels of spiritual protection. Man, I'll reread that again.
And because there will be different levels of intensity in the opposition that will be sent upon the righteous from the wicked, there are 4 levels of urgency that will protect the people of Enoki said during tribulation times.
The truth will set us free. Y'all see that? So there are 4 levels of urgency that we can use to combat opposition in its various forms sent to us by the wicked. Wow. Well, you been taught that? Come on, y'all. It's new information. The truth will set us free. Let's deal with this first level of urgency. We'll see what they talking about here. Verse 159. Moses, tell us something.
And this is the first level of urgency when the loved ones of the righteous turn aside from walking with them, and they form accusations against them. And because they are bonded together, the spirit of the accusations causes the spirit of Satan to draw close.
I'm going to try to give an example using modern day application. I'm going to try my best, man. Y'all bear with me. Baby, start verse 159 over.
And this is the first level of urgency when the loved ones of the righteous turn aside from walking with them.
So you have a brother, a partner, a brother or sister, a partner, and y'all are walking in agreement, right? Y'all make music together. We'll say that, gospel music. And you decide that you won't do songs with the ones who openly speak against Christ. You are really serious about this position. You let your friend know this is non-negotiable, right? You have no hard feelings if they don't want to go in, if they don't want to rock out with you, if they want to go a different direction, you ain't tripping. Your friend says, he or she, they with it. But look, y'all, your friend is really just going with it because they want to do music with you, right? Fast forward. Now in the future, they decide to go a different direction. They have a big opportunity where they can do a big song with an atheist who openly denounces Christ, right? That's their age, you know, that they prerogative. They right to choose. But there's a consequence to that action. They can't make music with you. They can't be on your team any longer like that. This was a spiritual decision you made with the Most High, and you ain't budging, right? Your friend, they ain't really think you would stand strong in your convictions, right? Y'all made pretty good music together. They're like, y'all made real good music. They might not have truly weighed out the alternative. So now you are not dealing with them in the same way. Start verse 159 over, Ari.
And this is the first level of urgency when the loved ones of the righteous turn aside from walking with them, and they form accusations against them.
And they form accusations against you. Now you are a separatist, an individualite. You don't want to join with your brother and your sister. Your spirit is off, right? What does this do in the spirit world? Ari, read.
And because they are bonded together, the spirit of the accusations causes the spirit of Satan to draw close.
And because y'all had a bond, right? An agreement, y'all trusted each other. When they switched up and they started slandering you or passing wrongful judgment on you, it becomes a magnet to Satan. Satan starts to influence the decisions of ones. One start telling little white lies. One's actions are not so blameless. Pride starts to rise up. We are learning about spiritual causes and effects here. So after Satan starts to influence the situation, what happens? Verse 160.
And the righteous people will feel dreadful feelings, and they will feel unclean.
The righteous will feel unclean. Man, y'all, what does that feeling of uncleanliness cause, right? What does it mean and feel like to be unclean, right? We'll start verse 160 over.
And the righteous people will feel dreadful feelings, and they will feel unclean and struggle to feel close to the Lord.
When we are unclean, we struggle to feel close to the Lord. Before the end of this series, we will be discussing the true understanding of being unclean, right? So when our close friend changes on us, on something we had previously agreed on, but not only that, but for whatever reason, they are also speaking negatively about you, I guess to feel justified in their decision to change. What we are learning is that these interchanges make the righteous feel unclean, right? And make the righteous feel disconnected from the Father, which is the same thing. Keep it real. These things happen all the time, even among the righteous. When ones are doing these things to us, they may not know they are doing these things. This is the beginning of a lot of opposition for the righteous, right? Read.
And while this level of urgency is simple, it is very important to firmly put it in place, because the accusations will come in the form to oppose some specific aspect of the truth that the Spirit has led you to accomplish.
Man, y'all hear that? The Spirit has showed you something. In this example we are using for this reading, the Spirit told you not to deal with other artists that openly deny Christ. This is a truth the Spirit put on your heart, and you are walking in it. So when we notice these activities, no matter how small, right, it's important that we put into effect this level 1 urgency, right? Because the accusation your friend is making against you is opposing the word the Most High gave to you. This is spiritual, family, right? And if we're on the other side, we should really check ourselves. Why am I now speaking negative about my partner when I switched up? I changed up on my friend, but to justify my actions, or for whatever reason you think you're doing it for, you might have a good reason in your mind, or for real. But why are you questioning his or her integrity? That spiritual opposition. I'm telling y'all, repent. Right? You are leaving an entryway for Satan. If someone come and told you the Lord told them something, and they walking in there to question that when the Lord ain't come and tell you that's a lie, you bring an opposition to that person and yourself. You are leaving an entryway, like I said, for Satan. Judge yourself righteously. You might be being used by Satan as a tool to go against the word of the Most High. Watch. Let's keep reading. Verse 161.
And the opposition will be directly in relation to that truth for the purpose of discouraging the righteous from fulfilling the leadings of the Lord.
Read that again.
And the opposition will be directly in relation to that truth for the purpose of discouraging the righteous from fulfilling the leadings of the Lord.
That truth, this truth that the Lord gave you, when this is what you find your friend going against, your family, I don't care who it is, you are in a level 1 urgency situation, right? In the spirit, it's just level 1. but we don't know these things. It's the beginning of opposition. And the Lord put things in place to deal with opposition from its inception, if we notice it. Start verse 161 over.
And the opposition will be directly in relation to that truth for the purpose of discouraging the righteous from fulfilling the leadings of the Lord. And it will come to them easily from the feelings of their loved ones, because they have a bond together. And because of this, these accusations will be effective.
Because you are close to this person, these accusations they are making against you can spiritually have the righteous feeling away. So what do we do when we are in this level 1 urgency situation? Verse 162.
And when this happens, the righteous must go before the Lord and offer up prayers of love and compassion and request that the Lord forgive them. And they must pray that their sin may not continue only to embarrass them at the last day.
That's it. That's how we activate the level 1 urgency prayer. I'll reread that again. Let's make sure. Verse 162.
And when this happens, the righteous must go before the Lord and offer up prayers of love and compassion and request that the Lord forgive them. And they must pray that their sin may not continue only to embarrass them at the last day.
When we offer up prayers of love and compassion and ask the Lord to forgive them, we should also pray that their sin doesn't continue to just embarrass them at the end of this whole situation, right? Wow. What does this righteous response do? Righteousness, man, it causes the Spirit to move for us, y'all. Verse 163.
And this act of love and compassion will turn the opposition of accusations away. And your feelings of cleanness will return, and your walk with the Lord will be restored in your heart. And the acts of Satan to cause you to dwell upon the accusations will be done away. And you will find the power of this love to be effective.
Man, y'all, in acting this level 1 urgency, in acting it out, right, it changes how we feel about the situation. We give back good for their wrong, right? And it helps us. We've heard it all our life. Forgiveness helps us. When you give back good for your wrong, that's a whole nother thing. That ain't new. That's a New Testament teaching, ain't it? Yeah. Let's get some precepts. Let's go to 1 Peter. We're going to 1 Peter chapter 3, verses 8 through 9. 1 Peter chapter 3, verses 8 through 9. Read.
Finally, be ye all of one mind, having compassion one of another. Love as brethren. Be pitiful. Be courteous. Not rendering evil for evil, or railing for railing, but contrariwise, blessing, knowing that you are thereunto called, that ye should inherit a blessing.
Peter is talking about how ones in community should treat each other. Paul taught the same message. Let's get that. Romans 12 and 21. That's Romans chapter 12, verse 21.
Be not overcome with evil, but overcome evil with good.
Overcome evil with good. This is the same message the apostles were preaching. The book of remembrance of Enoch lets us know that this virtue of returning good for evil has spiritual power in it. So let's go back to the book of remembrance of Enoch, chapter 14, verse 164. Let's look at the second level of urgency. Read.
And the second level of urgency that will safeguard the righteous comes when the feelings of opposition go beyond accusations and become severe feelings that are hard to shake off. And your prayers of forgiveness only work for a little while, or perhaps not at all.
So you sent out prayers of compassion for this former rap associate of yours. Back to the example, right? But you are resolute. You are no longer dealing with this person when it comes to making albums together. Now, this former associate of yours is all they all in their feelings now, right? Now you feel true bitterness coming from this individual. Now the prayers that you are making in the level 1 urgency are not having the same positive effect on you, right? Verse 165.
And when this condition is present, it is likely that some element of wickedness is being used in the worship of darkness by those who are purposefully sending hateful feelings and prayers against the righteous.
Wow. So when the situation progresses to the place where this type of feelings are involved, Moses said it's likely that some element of wickedness is being used in the worship of darkness. Remember, this is a beef between two people of God. That's where it started from, right? How could the element of wickedness be being used? Well, remember, in this example that we are giving, is your former rap associate, y'all gospel artists, right? They have a problem, right? They have a problem with you for no cause. You are simply following the leadings of the Father. But because your friend is now offended, they find themselves praying against your spiritual values, right? But unbeknownst to them is that they are praying against the direction Christ sent you on. When one's prayed for another's failure, especially when that thing you were praying against was instructed by the Lord, those prayers have been turned into an element of wickedness. Now, see that? Depending on how we pray, we can make our own prayers wicked. So when these things are going on, y'all know these things happen in the Christian church, in the Israelite community. Ones don't agree on the direction the Father is taking a certain person. It's not sin. Ones just don't agree. First, the gossip starts. That's the accusations. Then ones want to come together and have prayers to bind and rebuke what they now consider the works of the devil. Right? Those people coming together for prayers don't think that they are doing prayers of wickedness. No, they think they are righteous. They think they are hearing the Spirit. They think they are doing God a favor. Right? But the one they are praying against, the Lord says, buddy, you on a level 2 urgency. Why? Read.
And the urgency becomes more serious because now the potential for injury, misfortune, or mishap comes into play.
When these activities are going on, I want y'all to really listen to what we just read. When these activities are going on, the potential for injury, misfortune, or mishaps come into play. Unfortunate things could start happening to that righteous person that y'all are praying against, that y'all are trying to intervene for, right? This is not the wicked bringing this on the righteous. No, this is the so-called righteous bringing this condition on the righteous. How can this be? Read.
And the powers of darkness are seriously against the righteous, and the righteous are signaled out and spiritually attacked. And the feelings of hatred against the truth is being magnified with the elements of wickedness. And it will be a specific truth. And they are sending prayers against the righteous in order to cause them to fail. And the fear of failure will become very real in the hearts of the righteous.
Man. How do these prayers against the works of the righteous bring such potential for harm? Because the powers of darkness hate the righteous, yo. We war not against flesh and blood, but principalities. See that? These principalities are always warring with the righteous, yo. When a brother or a close friend of the righteous send up these type of prayers, the powers of darkness feed on those prayers, yeah? Man, those prayers empower the dark forces to attack that righteous person. Those prayers are going up against that righteous person, and the evil forces are coming, and these prayers are going up against a specific truth the Lord gave to this righteous person. Remember, the fallen angels are warring against the truth, so the fallen watchers start whispering in people's ears to have them warring against the truth as well. When your teammate starts doubting you, speaking against you, praying against you, you could start having that fear of failing. You could start questioning the instructions given to you by the Father. That is the intention of the devil, to stop the works of the righteous by any means necessary. Verse 166.
And when this happens, it will mean that the sons of darkness will have identified some specific truth that they are denying being pointed towards the righteous. And this truth must be identified, and the condition charged with safeguarding that truth should be approached, and expressions of comfort and sorrow brought to the Erkadeshi who are associated with that condition.
When this type of opposition is coming our way, that means the sons of darkness, the Dekadarshi, the fallen angels, have pinpointed a certain truth that they fiercely are battling against. Listen, y'all. Moses said the way to operate in the second urgency is to pinpoint this particular truth that the fallen watchers are warring against, and then find a condition out of the 24 conditions we just went through earlier, charged to protect that truth. We ain't been taught this, y'all. One should approach that condition and comfort that those Erek Kodeshi involved with that condition. Be sorrowful with those Erek Kodeshi involved with that condition, because the truth of the Most High being disrespected. And us and the Erek Kodeshi love the Most High. And so we ain't, man, listen, we'll keep going. What else? Verse 167.
And you must call the condition by name. And you must inform the Erkadeshi that you have already asked the Lord to forgive someone perpetrating this offense. And if you know who they are, tell the condition in the Erkadeshi who it is, without any ill feelings, because remember, you could have previously forgiven them and asked the Lord to bless them. And this will dissolve the effects of their prayers and turn them away.
Then we call the condition that is dealing with the truth being attacked out by name when we're talking to the Erek Kodeshi. And at the end of this episode, we will go through the names of the 24 conditions. No, and we might read about a couple of them, right? So we call out the name of the condition associated with the truth being attacked. Then we are supposed to talk to the Erek Kodeshi, the Holy Watcher, right? And let them know who it is that's perpetuating these actions against you. But Christ is saying we have already prayed for the individual, so we shouldn't have any ill feelings in our heart. We forgave them. We are not going to the Erek Kodeshi to attack them. No, we're going to the Erek Kodeshi to be sorrowful about the situation, also inform them so they can safeguard the righteous. You see, we ain't just sitting back not having spiritual protection and just praying and hoping. No, the Father put things in the fabric of the earth since the beginning to help us, right? Going to the Erek Kodeshi and doing what most of Christ asks us to do will dissolve the effects of their prayers. Because when they praying thinking they helping you and rebuking what you doing, right, it's putting spiritual attacks on you. And doing this urgency is dissolving that. This will also most likely to influence them to move around and leave us alone. So that was the second level of urgency, right? Let's read about the third level of urgency. Verse 168.
And there is a third level of urgency. And this level of urgency is more of a long duration and a very serious one that requires a community effort. And the instructions must be diligently followed. And it comes into being when the elements of wickedness are used against you with the added evil of explicit denial of a specific truth that was previously affirmed by them, but now is denied in relation to the righteous.
So a level 3 urgency is a big deal, huh? Okay, this person or group of people are denying a truth that they accepted as truth. But for whatever reason, they have switched sides and now are paying. Man, they're playing against you and the truth. They praying against you and the truth. To deal with the third level of urgency, we will need the whole church or the whole community to spiritually fight against this spirit, right? Verse 169.
And this third level will now require the use of the element of righteousness to magnify your prayers and the response of the Erkadeshi. And it will require a close relationship with the Lord and the spirits of life in creation and with one another in community.
The answer is still to pray. But now we are praying with righteous element. What is righteous element? Everything in creation was created with a purpose, a spiritual function. We talked about sand in our last episode. Sand, we learned, is an element used to specifically divide righteousness righteousness from wickedness, right? So if we want to separate ourselves from some sort of wickedness, we could use that sand to magnify that spiritual feeling. We are using that element for what it was made for, which helps magnify what we are asking for in the spirit, right? We've got a lot to learn, family, but the Lord wants to teach us trust. The Messiah wants us to press into him. We really need no man to teach us. I'm just being 100. But right here is why the directions are so important. That's why having a relationship with our ecosystem is so important. In order to properly operate in the third level of urgency, we need to have a strong relationship with the Erech Kodeshi, with the Lord and the Erech Kodeshi, because it's the Erech Kodeshi we're communing with to set in place this third level of urgency. If we don't know how to communicate with them, how can we have them protect us? How can we tell them how to protect us? So what will the opposition look like when it's time to go into the third level of urgency? Let's keep reading. Verse 170.
And the evil forces sent against you will be in the form to rejoice in your trials and be jealous of your successes. And those forces will have the intent to cause you to fail in your service to the Lord. And at this level, they can cause serious bodily harm and more. And in this level, your expressions of virtue and holiness of heart must be broadened.
When you're up, they down you. When you're down, they clown you, right? That's what it looks like. They are always right there celebrating your failures. And they always keep their bucket of water put right there to put out your fire. To put out your fire. Because Lord forbids you get hot. You're going to see these forces attacking your ministry. They want to see us fail in our service. To what Noki said, Christ also said, when we are facing these things, our expressions of virtue and our expressions of holiness need to be broadened, made bigger. Our expressions of virtue and holiness are actions. When we are under this type of opposition, we need to be more virtuous, more holy. Why? Because this type of opposition can bring physical harm. Let's keep reading. Verse 171.
And this is a ceremony that you shall do in the beginning of this threat, with more to follow if it continues unabated. And men of service must go before the Erech Kodeshi who are associated with the condition. And they must pour their hearts out to them, informing them of all they have done to address the forces coming against them. And they must ask the Erech Kodeshi for assistance and their help in overcoming the forces of darkness. And they must pray to Enoki said as their father to instruct the Erech Kodeshi in how they should respond. And you are to call the condition by name and to affirm to it the truth which it holds. And you give the condition some Rishoni element by sprinkling it out before them. And you can expect that the Erech Kodeshi will have no feelings of hatred, but will respond with determination according to the instructions they receive from Enoki said.
Yeah, family. A ceremony is in order when we are dealing with the third level of urgency. Enoch did a ceremony a few episodes back in the episode titled The Sanctity of Marriage Part 4, The Institution. Enoch used the ceremony to establish the sanctity of marriage as the number one source of protection for the righteous, right? Spiritual ceremonies are a part of our spiritual heritage that we have been discontinued from. It's a formal way we use to approach the Lord. So Moses is telling Enoch to do a ceremony to set this third level of urgency in place in the beginning, right when you see it, right? In this ceremony, we're asking the Erech Kodeshi for assistance. And we're also asking, Enoki said, to instruct the Erech Kodeshi on how to help us. And the Erech Kodeshi are going to move out, not in anger, not in retaliation, but in a protective spirit. And the Erech Kodeshi are going to be determined to accomplish the task. And Noki said, we'll give them a task, and they're going to be determined to accomplish it. Verse 173.
And when you do this, there shall be an immediate feeling of relief. And remember not to define or ask for any explicit response from the Erech Kodeshi. And trust the Lord to instruct them. But if the relief is only temporary, then in this third level, care must be put in place to see that this level is ongoing.
We are not instructing the Area Kodesh and how to operate in this situation. The Most High and the Lord are giving those instructions to them. And we should feel better after we perform the ceremony. But if it's only temporary, this third level of urgency must be set up to be ongoing, non-stop, right? Read.
And your holy people and community must unite together and make preparations to reaffirm some of the divisions of the earth. And this will have the effect to set these protections in place for longer durations, perhaps even for the remainder of the times of tribulations.
The Lord is going to teach us how to do these things, how to reaffirm these directions that Enoch established so we can protect our homes, our communities, for an extended period of time, right? Verse 175.
And the divisions of the earth that are to be reaffirmed are the instructions given to the foremothers who designate the dwelling places for all the Erkadeshi and the Dekadarshi.
We are going to read about those foremothers and what they did for the four directions, right? Read.
And these instructions must be followed carefully by foremothers, not turning aside from them in any manner. And for the men of service, they must take declarations to reaffirm the nature and character of the voices that emanate from the four directions that have been established since before the flood.
We are going to read about Enoch and his community doing these things, the men and the women, right? Verse 177.
And you shall study to get the sense of the instruction being led by the Spirit.
Start that verse over.
And you shall study to get the sense of the instruction being led by the Spirit.
You shall study to get the sense of the instruction being led by the Spirit. That's how we should be now, right? I'm asking y'all to go get this material and look at it, study it, being led by the Spirit. Prove all things. The Spirit can lead us to all truth. Start that verse over. Verse 177.
And you shall study to get the sense of the instruction being led by the Spirit, so that you can make those declarations when the need first arises. And you shall make these declarations from time to time to establish the division of the earth for a specific need for protection and well-being. And if the need persists, you shall make these declarations year by year, on the first day of the season of fall, and on the very day starting at sunrise. And in this way, these protections will be set in place for the coming year. And if the opposition changes form in the coming times, you shall go to any additional conditions needed and add the truth they hold to your request for assistance.
These conditions that we learned about today are truly a means to protecting ourselves spiritually and our families. This is something meant to be studied and understood and then put into practice. Creation is alive, family. The clouds, the rocks, the trees, the grass, not just alive, but they are holy angels meant to cover us through life. So those were three of the four levels of urgencies right there, right? Let's deal with the fourth one. Verse 179.
And there is the fourth level of urgency. And this level is meant to address a major crisis with the need for protection. And it requires the leadership of a man of Abara and his wife. And it takes a high level of discipline and diligence to put it into effect. And this level of urgency is for the purpose of dissipating a momentary but severe crisis.
So this fourth level of urgency needs a man of Abara and his rib and his wife to accomplish. A man of Abara is a high priest out of the order of Melchizedek. So this fourth level of urgency is for a momentary but severe crisis. Verse 180.
And it may happen that the wicked can find the means to use great deceits to overcome the Erkadeshi after assistance has been called for. And for this reason, it is important for the people to be extremely diligent to see to it that the Erkadeshi are only instructed by those who know how among the married men of Abara.
Hold up, y'all. I like to read this slow. My mind goes into a deep dive, right? So right here, right, watch this. Not just anybody can be instructing the Area Kodeshi, right? Watch this. There's a way to do it. The Lord is teaching us and will continue to teach us if we still and if we ask. He gonna give us an answer. If we be still, we gonna find, right? But we have to know what to ask for. I want y'all to pay attention because this whole little thing put my mind somewhere. Verse 181.
And the righteous people who stand in the pathway of peril must be diligent to see that none among them are thinking to instruct the Erkadeshi who prevail who are not designated to do so. For such may bring confusion to the Erkadeshi, and it may delay the comfort and protection that is coming to the righteous, or it may weaken it.
It's a skill to speak to the Kodeshi. They each have their own language, and it's something we have to practice doing. I know it sounds crazy, but there's a whole side of spirituality that we have not tapped into yet. Yo, I'm trying to tap in, fam. I know my ribs trying to tap in straight up. It's a process though, but I'm trying to tap in. So every so often, there's a situation that can overcome their Kodeshi. I want y'all to pay attention here. And that third level of urgency, they can be overcame. So what is to be done about this? Verse 182.
And as I have said, when the Erkadeshi are overcome, you must heighten your urgency this fourth time. And only those who are capable of having no fear in the face of it must lead and instruct and guide and show by example how to act. For in this extreme case, all of the righteous must respond to the Erkadeshi being overcome by grieving with them for the disrespect for the truth that is being shown, and for the poor heart of my father, who must undergo the distress of his loved ones. And your mourning with him must be expressed as a true child would mourn with their father. And compassion for him must overflow to reach into elder. And when you do these things, just as I have instructed you, in the utter purity of your love for Anoki said, there is no act of the use of the element of wickedness that can be accomplished by evil that can overcome you.
Oh, okay. Wow. This is why we have to start building our relationship with our ecosystem, family. The men of Abara went and truly mourned with the Kodeshi, truly mourned with them like you would mourn with your brother or sister if something sad happened to them, right? Really grieved with the Kodeshi, because the Kodeshi are sad because the Most High's truth has been disrespected. When we purify enough for the Lord to give us a true heart of flesh, we will truly be able to connect with the Kodeshi, with creation, like we have never imagined. These men of Abara go and mourn with the Kodeshi, totally absent of fear though, right? I don't care how bad the situation is, they are facing, they have no fear. These men of Abara have total dependence on the Lord, faith. At this point, the righteous have done all they could do. So now this genuine love for Anoki said for the Most High has to flow out. A love for his word, a love for his way, a compassion for the Most High. This situation is making him sad, and there is nothing else we can do about it but be sad with the Father. When we accomplish this, Moses said, can't nothing come against us at that point. We have aligned in some alignment of love with Anoki said, nothing can overcome us. Do you believe that? Can you believe that? Verse 185.
And I say to you that those who cannot accomplish the absence of fear must trust and depend upon those who can make this vital bonding in love, with Anoki said. And in this way, my Father will take care of his loved ones.
I want to be able to bond with Anoki says so completely that fear is not able to come into my presence. To be able to feel the Creator so completely that nothing but his truth matters. That's what it takes to accomplish the fourth level of urgency. That's why a man of Abara and a woman of Abara is needed for this task. A couple that has an intimate relationship with creation, they're a Kodeshi. A couple that has an intimate relationship with Motza. A couple that has an intimate relationship with the Most High. The Lord wants the order of Melchizedek back in Israel. The Lord wants the holy order back in Israel. The men in the order of Melchizedek practiced the religion of Shabuah. Shabuah. That's what they lived. The men in the order of Melchizedek practiced the ways Moses, the Lamb, Christ taught Enoch in his book.